Greetings, community. It's Kevin of Entropy and Comics, and welcome to my one year anniversary. This is amazing to me because the time has gone so fast, and amazing to me because you guys. I would not have guessed I would have been. What I think I'm like 121, 122 strong, and you guys are awesome. Uh, you guys are just you're warm. Yeah, you make me want to do this on the rare occasions that I do. And yeah, I am really grateful and appreciative to you guys. So thank you. It's like I said, been 1 year, and I just kind of want to go over some of the things that have transpired in that time. Hey Zeke, yeah, whoa, hey, how you doing? Appreciate you being here, Spine Ticks, all you guys. Thank you very much. Hey Ben, thank you. I this was something grown out of another channel that I was doing with my son, and yeah, it's been a solid year. And really, what I want to do on this is I just kind of want to do a recap. I have no videos planned. I have nothing really big to share. Just my heart and some words. One, I just I really want to say thank you to you guys. You guys are awesome, and I'm really grateful to you. I really am. Um, I read a lot of books. I go over a lot of stories. I hear a lot of words in Hollywood. I end up talking a lot of production. I end up creating a lot of works. I guess this was an extension that I never considered before. My son and I had a passion for reading books and meeting creators and exposing them to the best of our abilities and sharing our experiences in that. And that was 1-2 Comic Talk. In that time, things, transpired. That's a separate story. But I was debating if I wanted to do anything. And in that, created Entropy and Comics. I knew I wouldn't have the ability to do anything regular. So being that, like my work, it runs hot and cold, feast and famine, like comics. Sometimes our stories are hot and cold, or, we could read the same story as far as storyline or character, but being that they're written by different people, sometimes the story's not written as well, or it doesn't resonate as well. So you understand what I mean. And that's where the birth of Entropy came from, along with the fact that in the time of which Entropy was born, there was a lot of market talk. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. And that's where, again, the name Entropy arisen. Now, like I made state, I just kind of want to go over some things. So the first video was a bumper video created by JB of Discovery Bay. I wanted to use JB right now as a springboard to other things. Without JB, without Perry of Perry Comics, without Rod the Rican of Just a Rican in his comics, these three individuals were primary individuals outside of my introduction, which was the first two people I ever saw do anything talking about comics or do anything about comics was through my Facebook, which was Brian and Jack, which were later known as Simpleman Comics. From there, I used them as springboard on, like I said, to other people, but that's where I found JB. JB was doing all these morning, how should I say, almost like a TV guide. Perry was doing the lurking thing, where he would go around and find channels that he thought they needed some promotion, and he would find channels that had a lot of times even only one subscriber, and trying to do the best he could to promote them. Rod, he would invite them onto their channel, and he would best promote them as possible and interact with these people so the community can know them more personally outside of them just doing shows. So that was where the roots in which that Kai and I came from, were these individuals. And forever, We are grateful to them for the fact that, you know, they introduced us to a whole new realm that we were not, I guess, in many regards, it really ready for. So, you know, to them, I just want to say thanks. And to them, that was the birth of what 1-2 Comic Talk, which in turn led to Entropy in Comics. Again, 1 year ago, JB made a little introduction bumper that I don't use. I'm going to promise to start learning how to do more on my computer. But more importantly, he also allowed me to do an introduction video shortly after. That was the first video I did. And it was just to explain my intentions initially, what, you know, the channel was going to be about. Later, that was followed by my first real video. That first real video was talking about stray dogs. I believe I may have even spoken a little bit about Shadecraft. That was basically a platform that I want to introduce to the community that I didn't see quite yet, which was little snippets of news that I was coming across. So that was the birth of Spec News. Being that a lot of people were specking about stuff, you know, that was also, I wanted to give people the reality of what I was spending my money on. So that was the rebirth of iSpec. So where I actually told people what I was buying and how much I was investing and what books and why. And you know, that those were some of the first videos that I ended up doing. My intentions were to end up doing more, but more of my stuff was actually, I guess, developed to be collab. So I didn't really pursue much. Now that also did lead to working with Z and Z Collects, and in that we developed what I believe some of what you kind of see now as far as what you see in the auctions, where people want to play more, they want to have games, they want to have random acts of whatever, and in that even want to have consolation prizes. Sometimes in turn, you know, that might be free shipping or whatever. But I like to think that, you know, playing a box had a little hand in some of that, you know, and Z and I, you know, when we developed Playing a Box, the idea behind it was to allow the community more options. And I believe today there is considerably more options offered to the YouTube community. And what I mean by that, I believe that there is way more interviews than ever done before. Way more dynamics into the YouTube community than ever was before. And I'm grateful to be a part of that. And in this 1 year, I've seen a lot of that. And in that format change, you know, that I guess that's one of the biggest things I have seen, is that I've seen a lot more collaborations, where when I first started with Kai, you know, almost, it's been 2.5 years ago, everyone was doing everything by themselves. Hey, Zen, I appreciate you. You know, that a few people were actually, you know, inviting individuals to come on the shows and do works together outside of exposing them to the community and say, hey, look, this is this individual. And, you know, I think that's pretty cool now that a lot of the community now work together in large forms of collaborations, as opposed to isolated individuals that are doing almost like satellite things now. That's not normal. This is actually what I'm doing is not as normal as people working together. So, you know, that's kind of cool to see. The other thing in that time period is I've seen considerably more interviews than I've ever seen. Again, 2.5 years ago, it was rare that I saw an interview. You know, now it's rare that I don't see certain reputable channels. And when I mean reputable, just channels of substantial subscribers and individuals that have personalities that can carry an interview, not doing interviews. There's just a lot of channels doing it. And that's kind of pleasing to see, especially in the fact that the dynamics of these interviews are also in a multitude, you know, based on the personalities of the individuals, one that are either performing the interview and or the interviewee, which is really cool. You know, this is something that you did not see just a couple of years ago, let alone, you know, in the past year. It's been a whole leaps and bounds. And I do see that in large part when Chrissy Shin and I were developing Artist Alley, was the fact that artists and creators weren't able to get out to these conventions, and we want to do as much as we could back when I was doing these interviews on 1-2 Comic Talk. And I see that still carrying now today, even though that we're in such limited abilities to do conventions, people are still carrying that on. I do not see that leaving, which is awesome. In this past year, I've seen so many interviews on so many channels. It's truly amazing. And also that time, as I previously made mention, auctions, they've also augmented the way in which that they do things. In the previous times, I see a lot of people trying to snipe. And essentially, there's very little, if any, sniping ever done anymore due to anti-sniping techniques that have been implemented. Also, there's more ways of picking up, books. There's these random $5 blind pulls and on up, and people playing race games and for entries and all. Just again, it's amazing to me that people have opened up into new ways of not only being able to purchase books, but to be able to enjoy the shows in which that these books are being sold, and that's awesome. That's something that I really believe the comic community was yearning for, and now that everyone's doing their own version of stuff, it's really neat to be able to pop on at different shows and just see who's doing what. And in a small amount of time, in just a year, I have seen well over a dozen shows doing different little game stuff that is it's cool, it's fun, and I applaud you guys. In that time, it's been fun to watch, whereas past auctions weren't for me too enjoyable. And so thank you again. This is just another, I guess, way of me saying thanks in a roundabout way. Another thing I've made notice is there's probably more news, quote unquote, channels than ever before. And in that time, it's been neat to see that individuals want to assist other individuals that may not have either access to certain information, or because they have, I don't know, for lack of a better term, I guess, privied information, that there's more people that are willing to go ahead and offer information, whereas there hasn't been before. It was more just kind of hearsay or just making rumors, whereas now you're hearing pretty good substantiated truths from some pretty individuals that are making themselves well reputable for such information. And in the past year, I've seen a lot of, how should I say, sleuthing, yeah, I guess, and sussing out of individuals that are able to do really good jobs at that. And it's been fun to watch those that have been those to be able to rise, that cream of the crop, because wow, you guys are offering information that is top notch and quick. It's amazing to me how fast some of this information is getting out there. And it's been interesting to see how fast it's been affecting the markets. So again, in that past year, I've seen more changes in that than I have in a few years. So it's just another way of me saying, that's it's freaking cool. And that's essentially it. I wasn't going to take a whole lot of time. I don't have a whole lot to offer as far as all kinds of videos and all kinds of, going over past stuff and individuals that have been in on. Really what I guess say is, to everyone that's ever subscribed to the show, to everyone that's ever even watched, skipped over the show, thank you. If you've ever take time to hit that like button, it hits me sincerely. I'm really grateful. And when you give me a comment, sometimes I won't even reply, but I will read that thing a few times over because it means that much to me. You guys mean that much to me. And, I thank you. So that was pretty much it. And Las Cruces. I appreciate you being here. Sorry you missed it. I'm not hanging out a whole lot of time, but you know me, I'm usually not hanging out a whole lot. So that's probably the longest video I can recall in a long time, or normally, I should say. That's my first video of the year. It's my thank you. It's my 1 year anniversary. And yeah, hey, you know what? For me, thank you. And I appreciate you. Take care. Entropy.